So, check out this latest battle here. Again, it's my Tomb King army. I've revamped it. Let me show you some of the changes I've made. As usual, left flank is my anti-large. I got spearmen. I've got my tomb prince. However, I've made some changes to the front line. I have some units of skeleton warriors, cheap, crappy meat shields. But in the rear, I've got my tomb guard. Okay? Now, I should have learned my lesson and not put this tomb scorpion in the front. However, my opponent is the Greenskins. I'm not really worried about an artillery barrage. So, I don't really care if it's all in the front. Let's go over some other units. I have another anti-large here just in case something sneaks over on this side. However, it's going to be hard for something to sneak over because I've got 2 units now of the Great Bow Ustabi. I've totally ditched any artillery. I'm just trying out some new builds, and this is something I wanted to try. The reason I wanted to try the Ustabi, take a look at that missile damage on this one and missile damage on this one. One of them is in the range of my new hero, Queen Khalida. So she has a buff. Let me show you guys. Check out these missile damage, reload skill, and armor piercing missile damage advantages if you're in her aura. So had I placed this a little bit more strategically, this would also have gotten that huge increase to missile damage and armor piercing, of course. So Queen Khalida, of course, is on a chariot. Chariot's just meant to go and run over a bunch of people. Finally, my latest, newest experimental unit. My first time debuting the Cimmerian War Sphinx. Look at the freaking size of this guy compared to any other logical unit. That's what a skeleton warrior looks like, or a skeleton archer. It has just about, oh gosh, whatever, again, it's my whatever I want it to be unit. Way in the back of the green, I have my, this time it's a flock of armor piercing carrions. It has this death from above ability where if you can hover above the enemy, press the button, it drops like bombs, I guess. I'm not very good at using it, and definitely not going to use it in this fight, so don't even worry about it. Armor piercing, I figured, whatever. It costs, I think, an extra 75 gold. I'll use it. Okay, let's study the Greenskins. I expected a lot more units, which is why I tried bringing a lot more units. I brought a lot of anti-infantry, because I expected them to have anti-infantry. Now, the fact that all these things are armor-piercing, I wasn't anticipating that, but I know they've got a few armor-piercing units. Man, could that have come in handy, and does it come in handy? So his front line is like a dual stack of the Night Goblins, which are their weakest, crappiest units. You can see those little dudes right here. And of course, the Orc Biggins, which is, I want to say, a respectable unit. It actually costs more than my Tomb Guard. To give you an idea. That's my front line. His lord is the Grimgore Ironhide. I think that's the best melee warrior that the Greenskins have in their arsenal. Look at that armor, gosh. So he's going to be a tank, and he's going to come bringing a lot of damage with him. So they have 2 units of catapults that they've kind of spread out a little bit, protecting with their Regiment of Renown Goblin Archers. That just means that's the highest tier they can have. Not sure why he felt that necessary. He's got a unit here. It's his Goblin Shaman. So this is like a poison shaman. He'll just do random poison damage. I don't really think poison damage works against the Tomb Kings. I'm not sure what his objective here was, but that's okay. His cavalry, he's all the way in the back, which is an interesting position, but these guys, armor piercing Regiment Renown, I think it's the best shock cavalry that the Greenskins can possibly have. Finally, his last 2 units, kind of sitting at both ends of his army, are the Crimson Killers. This is the best, the best infantry unit, most expensive infantry unit that the Greenskins have available. Look at that armor, look at that leadership. Let us get this show on the road. So before we even begin, as soon as I begin this match, I realize, and I'm trying to sit there and survey. Let's get started. As soon as the match begins, I have to find a target for my great bows. So I hover over his army, I see scrubs over here, and I immediately find these heavily armored regiment of round great axe units. So I send my both archer units to go attack these guys. I'm sending these guys forward to go ahead and try to get these guys caught up so they don't reach this very good area to attack from. Just look at the damage that these guys end up doing. It's to the best possible unit you could ever have for the Greenskins to get that much damage in 1 or 2 volleys. Oof, not gonna look good for those killer Crimson Killers. The War Sphinx is supposed to come in and try to flank the infantry. I got a little distracted and decided just to run them in to the cavalry. As you can see, I'm trying to come around over here. The Tomb Prince got distracted. I wanted him to go after his after that cavalry over there, which I don't think is a very intelligent idea. I should have had him just charge into the back of one of his units over here. You can see the Carians. I forgot to show you that gets that charge. You can see the Carians do what they normally do, which is they come from the back. He has total vulnerable catapults, and they're doing a great job taking out at least one of them. So now we have a full entanglement for the front line. Here come his units of Crimson Killers, pretty much down to a third of their life. Kalita's going to come in, probably charge in a little bit, and use her poison attack. One of her poison attacks. I guess not. There it is! Poison attack. That's it. You're done for. The best unit the Greenskin possibly has pretty much did no damage. That is a huge loss. Let's study some of the other fights that we have going on. The Spearmen are not doing too well against Orc Biggins, as you would expect. Grimgore is annihilating some of my Tomb Guard over here. What's hilarious that you didn't even notice, I had a unit of Skeleton Spearmen here, and I had a unit of Tomb Guard coming in from the back flank. Before the Tomb Guard could even engage, he completely routed my Skeleton Spearmen here. That's just how devastating these Crimson Killers are. They're going to massacre everything in their way. Tomb Prince is not really engaged in what he should be engaged in. Fighting Orc Biggins, not what he's meant to do. Let's take a look at the War Sphinx over here. So this is the best cavalry the Greenskins have. They're taking quite a bit of damage here, but it's not really a one-sided fight, one way or the other, until I choose to get my archers involved. So my archers are coming in, picking these guys apart. They're going to try to help turn the tide of balance against the War Sphinx, or I should say in the War Sphinx's favor. I don't control, by the way, the archer fire on the War Sphinx. I realize this guy is an anti-infantry, and he needs to go do anti-infantry. Let the archers take care of these units. Clearly, they're not going to be a threat anymore. The War Sphinx needs to go in. Meanwhile, infantry-wise, he's won some flanks over there. I'm holding steady in these areas over here, and finally I'm bringing in the big guns, and big guns by this case means my War Sphinx units, to try to get entangled and win in these fights, these infantry fights, the last remaining front lines I have. We totally missed. I got my tier 3 Ustabi coming in to try to help this last frontline fight going on here. They've clearly won some of these front lines, and the Crimson Killers just coming in and wrecking shop. Speaking of wrecking shop, this was satisfying to watch. It's always been satisfying to watch. That's the Orc Biggins, okay? They're a pretty high mass unit, but not as high as the Chimerian War Sphinx. So both I have my Lord over here, and I have the War Sphinx, and I have this is a fight I'm going to win in this exact area. His catapults have been stopped. Scorpion's going to town, getting all the kills it needs to as well to justify its $1,000 expense. He has some. Remember, these are armor sundering, meaning they will make your armor exposed. They're not going to listen to your armor damage, but these Carians, they're very good at picking apart archers, especially undefended like the ones we have here. So the War Sphinx needs to constantly keep crashing into units, because check out that charge bonus it has. Where'd it go? 64. So its objective, as I'm learning, is to constantly crash into mob after mob after mob, you know, clean shop a little bit, and then leave. My archers are still having a good time over here, taking out whatever it needs to. In this case, we've pretty much taken out Grimgor Ironhide. Now, if I had focused a little bit better and I could actually have killed him, he only had 1,000 life left. It would have been a great morale hit to the orcs, and the game would have been over even sooner than it is right now. I've won the front line on the right-hand side. I'm coming in, taking that right-hand side, swarming now what seems to be his best unit, his best remaining unit. It's not going to go well for him over there either. We're trying to take out his Knight Shaman, that one unit that unfortunately didn't do a lot of damage. Right, that's an expensive unit to field and get 2 kills out of. So take a look at that devastating. That's sarcastic, by the way. The devastating charge from my chariot. It could have been better, but that's what that poison attack is for, to rout anything that survives such an attack. Okay. After its Crimson Killer Black Orc Elite Infantry unit is over, the game is pretty much done. Alright, all my units are coming in. The Ustabi have used up all their ammo. It's not much, and all his units that are coming out to be unrouted. Who cares? Now, this was kind of a dumb miss on my end. My hero is just kind of standing still for a while, and it really let me get exposed here. So I'm taking a lot of missile damage here. I get my charge in, but Kalita's not going to be faring too well much longer with the amount of damage that this one takes. Kalita's going to die. That's okay. Take a look at this front line. I've got this new attacking force I have here. It's my best units, and all of them have about about half life or more. So I've got the War Sphinx that still has plenty of life. The Ustabi Great Bows are still good fighters once they've finished using up all their damage, but these guys are untouched, and you can hear him. My Scorpion also has over half life. That's a lot of money just sitting there, relatively at healthy states of fighting, and they're gonna wreck, you know, gosh, barely a unit of big orc big guns. The Night Goblins are not gonna do too well, right? Again, that's your shittiest unit. It's just gonna be a massacre with these units alone. So I really don't remember if these guys can even get there or not, but they've got nothing left here. I could have done possibly a better job of making sure he never gets his Rock Goblin. Anyways, that's quick work for a Greenskin army. Let's take a look at some of the damage stats here. So again, this was the debut of the Chimerian War Sphinx. I'm quite happy with the 111 hard-fought kills. Remember, a lot of that was his Orc Biggins, a lot of that was his Elite Cav, and some of that was the Elite Infantry. Look at these Ustabi, man. They pretty much only killed elite units. That's a lot of money. I think they totally earned their merit. The Tomb Scorpion, I barely paid attention to that unit. I just kind of let him go to town on whatever he crashed into. In this case was the front line. He did a great job. Now, embarrassingly enough, the Carrion did so much more damage. However, it's not about kills. It's about what did you kill. They mainly killed archers. And siege catapults. My front line of Tomb Guards, I think, relatively respectable in terms of how much damage they did. You guys remember that one unit that was getting massacred by the... I suspect these are the ones that ended up killing or going up against the Crimson Killers. My front line of meat shields did great as meat shields. Somehow my skeletons actually did a surprising amount of damage. I'm guessing they fought like Night Goblins. Kalita, great. I've been using her for a bit, but this is the first time I really am satisfied with some of her damage output here. On the enemy side, his anti-infantry melee Grimgor Ironhide did a respectable amount of damage. I'm not sure how much he cost, but definitely the Night Shaman, he did not able to utilize that very well. The Night Goblins actually got a decent amount of damage considering how cheap they are, but I imagine they fought my cheap units as well. Here's the big one right here. 0 kills for your most elite Black Orc Crimson Killers. And just to give you an idea, one of these, if they actually get to engage, can kill up to 300 units. That's a game changer right there, to lose such a unit. That's a game changer right there. Why on earth would you take your cavalry to go fight against my Chimerian War Sphinx when you see these two completely exposed Ustabi who are just wrecking shop? So I think he really should have come up against and charged these units over here. How would I do this fight any differently? I would try to stall these Crimson Killers from doing as much damage as I did, or I would also try to save my Tomb Prince and have him go attack something more methodical than whatever I did. I pretty much lost him in the fight too.